Hello everyone, welcome to another episode. Today we're going to go over how to install MediaWiki on your Ubuntu or Debian based machine. So on the left hand side of my screen, I currently have a machine with Ubuntu 2004 on it. And on the right, you can see my MediaWiki installation guide. So this video is going to be a step-by-step guide on how to install MediaWiki on your Ubuntu or Debian based machine. Now just a heads up, this will not be utilizing Nginx, this will be using Apache 2. So if you're looking for an Nginx video, I can link out to another video on how to do that, but for right now, this guide is going to be for Apache 2 alone. So to start, what we need to do is we need to install Apache 2. Before we do that, however, we're going to go ahead and update everything real quick. That way we can avoid some issues in the future. All right, now that we are updated, what we're going to go ahead and do is install Apache. Now that Apache 2 is installed, we're going to go ahead and disable all the directory listings currently on our Apache 2 installation. So what we're going to do is we're going to run sudo sed-i, and we're going to go ahead and carry over the rest of this. And that is done. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to restart Apache 2 and then enable it so that every time this machine is restarted or it's booted from such as a fresh machine image, that Apache 2 will start. So we're going to do sudo system control restart Apache 2 service, and we're going to enable Apache 2 as well. Beautiful. So the next part we're going to do is we're going to install MariaDB. So we're going to type sudo apt install MariaDB-server and the MariaDB client. So now that that is done, we can go ahead and restart the service and then enable it as well, so that once again, once the machine is booted or restarted, MariaDB will start alongside it. So we're going to type sudo system control restart MariaDB.service and sudo system control enable MariaDB.service. And that is now done. We are going to go ahead and move on to a secure installation for MySQL. So we're going to type sudo mysql underscore secure underscore installation. Now, if this is a fresh installation, you will not have a password for root. If it is not a fresh installation, go ahead and enter your password for this. So in our case, we don't have it, so we're going to type enter. We're going to type yes to set a root password. You can set that to whatever you want. Just make sure you remember it. And now it's asking us to remove any anonymous users. We're going to type Y for yes. It wants to know if we want to disable root login remotely. We're going to type Y for yes. Remove test database and access to it. We're going to type Y for yes. And reload privilege tables. We're going to type Y for yes. All right, and that is done with that part. So now that we're done with that, we need to go ahead and restart the MariaDB service again. We're going to type sudo system control restart MariaDB. Awesome. So the next part we need to do is we need to install PHP and all of its dependencies. So if you guys are looking at other guides, you'll notice that a lot of them are outdated right now. I go ahead and I compare my guides to what's out there. And a couple of packages will be outdated or they just won't exist anymore. So if they don't exist, just remove from the list and then make sure that it works properly. Or you can go ahead and use my guide, which has everything up to date. So we're going to go ahead and type sudo apt-y install, and then we're going to copy all these over, and we're going to install that. If you didn't know, the -y option says yes for any options when you download stuff. So if you want to stop hitting yes every time you download stuff, you can use the -y option. But if you don't know what you're installing, it's probably a good idea just to actually go through each prompt until you understand, what you're going to download or modify. All right, awesome. Now that that is downloaded and installed, we're going to edit the PHP initialization file. So we're going to type sudo vim/etc php. Right now, we're going to type tab, and that'll auto-select the correct version, and then Apache, and the PHP ini file, which stands for initialization. And what we're going to do is we're going to look for file uploads. Make sure that's set to on. We're going to look for allow URL fopen. Make sure that's on. Perfect. Then we're going to check the memory limit. And we need to allocate just a little bit more. So we're going to set it to 256 megabytes. We're going to check the upload max file size and set that to 100 megabytes. Next, we're going to check the max execution time and set that to 360. And now we're going to check the date time zone. We're going to uncomment that and set it to whatever time zone you're at. In my case, I am America/Phoenix. I'm going to write and quit that. Awesome. So now the next part is to actually create the MediaWiki database that's going to store everything for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to type sudo mysql-u root-p. It's going to ask us for a password. This is the password that we just set. And now that I'm in, it's going to pull up a new command line. And we're going to type create in all caps database MediaWiki. So now we have a database created called MediaWiki. We're now going to create a user on that database called mw-admin. You can call it whatever you want. Just make sure to write it down. And we're going to say identified by, and we're going to set a password as password123. The most sophisticated password out there. Beautiful. Next part is we're going to actually grant that account privileges on this. So we're going to grant all on MediaWiki to our mw-admin user at localhost. And we're going to say identified by password123 with grant option. Now that that's done, we're going to flush the privileges and exit. Beautiful. So the next part is we're going to download and install MediaWiki. Just double check this link, which is releases.weedymiki.org, and just make sure that whatever you're installing is up to date. Some packages that you use with it and some tools you use with it won't work for newer or for older. So just make sure you go over and build what you want first, and then make sure that version 1.34 or whatever version you're going to download actually works with all the tools you want to use it with. In my case, version 1.34 is absolutely perfect. So I'm going to type cd/temp, which will change me to the temp directory, and wget this file, and that's releases.wikimediaWiki/core/1.34.0.tar.gz. And perfect, it is downloaded. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make the directory that we're actually going to move all the files to. So we're going to type sudo make directory -p var www html and call it MediaWiki. Now we're going to open up that package that we just downloaded. Oh, see as I added an extra F in there. And now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and move our contents over to our new directory. Just like so. Now the next part we need to do is we need to change the ownership of that directory and the contents of its files over to the www data user and group. What we're going to type is sudo chown -r for recursive www-data www-data. And what we're saying right there is the first one is for user, the second one is for group. And then we're going to point that over to our new directory. And if that is successful, we're going to modify the permissions to 755, recursively, of course. Point that over to our new directory, and press enter. All right, now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and move on to configuring Apache 2 in the MediaWiki configuration files. So what we're going to do is we're going to type sudo vim/etc Apache 2, sites available. Make sure this is, remember, this is not sites enabled, this is sites available. They're two completely different directories. We're going to call it MediaWiki.conf for configuration. And I'm going to go ahead and just paste this in. Like so. All right, so now that that's done, we need to actually disable the current site that comes with Apache. So if you guys have ever installed Apache before, it brings you to that, oh, your site's working. That's the O default configuration site. So what we need to do is we need to type A2 dis site for disabled site, and then O default.conf. And you can tell it's disabled now. And then what we need to do is we need to enable our new configuration file called MediaWiki.conf. And then we need to enable the mod rewrite. Awesome. So now that it's done, changes will not be in place until you restart Apache 2. And if you have anything wrong, it'll tell you right now. And you'll get an error log. So now that that's done, we can actually go ahead and visit our page. In my case, I have a fully qualified domain name. You might just have an IP address. Whatever it is, enter that into a browser, and we can move on to the next step. As you can tell, my site is up and running, MediaWiki 1.3 or 1.34.0, and I'm going to go ahead and set this up. All right, so the beginning page is language. So I speak English, so we're going to do English and move on. And if you don't have that part set in the configuration file, so let's pull that back up. Actually, let's just use less. And that's going to be in sites enabled because we enabled it. All right, and so in here, so if you don't have this part right here, the PHP flag engine set to off, you'll actually get a warning over here about how there's a current exploit for it and how you need to protect against it. All right, now that those checks are good, we can go ahead and move on down to here. So our database name we set to MediaWiki. And our database username was mwadmin, not root. And then put in that password you set for him. In our case, that was password123. And we will select use the same account as for installation. And then name of our wiki, we will do YouTube's. All right, so admin account is not going to be, in this case right down here, is not going to be MWAdmin. This is going to be your administrative account to grant users new access, privileges, in the beginning stages of your MediaWiki. So just make sure you set that to whatever you need to. In my case, we will do YouTube's admin. Set password to password123. And no email address. So obviously never set any of the passwords the same. Keep them all different. Use a password generator and just make sure you keep a hold of those passwords. Oh, I forget about this. The new installation of 1.34.0 does this. So now it has a minimum amount of characters, and then If it's too simplistic, it won't let you do it. So let's do something a little harder. Awesome. So that's a really hard password. All right, so now here's a big part right here. So let's click never. I hate when it asks you that. So for the user rights profile, it's going to ask you 4 options. Open Wiki, account creation required, authorized editors only, or private wiki. So the first one, anyone can sign up and create something or edit something without an account. The second one, they can edit whatever they want, but they have to make an account first. The third one, you can say only certain people can edit, but anyone can still sign up. And the fourth one, no one can view anything, no one can write anything, no one can sign up. So in our case, just for this example, we'll let it be an open wiki. All right, so copyright and licenses. Just go ahead and review all of them. A lot of legality behind that. I'm not going to go into that. The next part, email settings. If you have email set up on your server, you can use this. In my case, I don't, so I'm going to unselect that. This is usually used to send out password confirmations, reset password, stuff like that. And we're going to go ahead and continue. And what this is going to do is just going to verify everything's good to go. Awesome. And now it's going to give us our local settings.php file. So I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to upload the file just like that. And if you check temp, it's right there now. All right, so what I just did is I actually uploaded the file through this little utility right here. In your case, you're going to want to use the SCP tool to actually move that file over. So you can use SCP, you can move it from a download directory, which is going to be called local settings.php, and then you're going to use your username at your IP address, and you're going to move that over to the MediaWiki directory that we created at the beginning of this video. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that file over to var www.html MediaWiki. Here, let's actually move over to that directory real quick. Awesome. So now what we're going to do is we're going to chown. We're going to do www data again. And we're going to change settings on local settings.php. And then we're going to change permissions. Sudo chmod755 of local settings. And we got an error there because we forgot sudo at the very beginning. And it's done. So let's permissions of local settings. You now tell that we gave it 755 permissions and that www data is the owner and group. So perfect. All right. So now that that file is in the correct directory with the correct permissions, we can go ahead and move back over here. If we click this button, it'll now bring us to our wiki. And as you can tell, it's really, really plain. So before they used to give you a default skin, hence the WG default skin, but now they actually make you download it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back over to the guide, and we're going to look right here at this section. And this is to download the skin. So what we're going to type is cd to change your directories if you're not already here. We're going to switch over to skins. We don't have a skins. There we go. Yeah, cd skins. Awesome. And we're going to type wget https vector/skins/rel34-f0.tar.gz. Oh, file not found though. So let's just go ahead and copy and paste that just to make it a little bit simpler. And permission denied. So let's make sure we run sudo with that. And that file actually no longer exists. So let's go over this real quick. And we got it. Perfect. Awesome. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and actually break it open. Awesome. And then we're going to change permissions. So sudo chown recursive user group. We're going to change permissions. All right, so the next part we need to do is we need to actually append the loadskin argument to the local settings.php file. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back one directory, and then we're going to sudo echo wf loadskin. We're going to choose vector as default, and we're going to tell that to append the local settings file. And we got a permission error, so and that's done. And then we'll change that back to correct permissions. Perfect. And now if we go back to our YouTubes, awesome, and that's it. So if you want to add a certificate to this, you can use certbot at these instructions down below, or you can just go ahead and mess around with this with HTTP, and that's it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in a future video.